Three takeaways from Atlanta United's 1-1 draw against expansion club San Diego FC here at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Sydney with Jackson and Henry with you after the match. And gentlemen, after a 5-4 loss to the Columbus Crew a week ago, where you conceded 5 first-half goals, I feel like the bar was pretty low for Atlanta United to go out with a better performance, and they did that. All in all, it wasn't perfect. We'll talk about that a little bit later on against I won't say St. Louis, San Diego, wherever they're called. But, yeah, give a decent account of themselves tonight here at the Benz. Takeaway number one, Juan Barricada getting the start in place of Enia Mihai in the back line besides Jan Gregerson for Atlanta United. And I thought he gave a really good account of himself, guys, with the full 90 minutes, I believe. Had several key moments in the second half, especially where he positioned himself well to erase several chances for San Diego. This is about what all you could hope for in the center back. No glaring mistakes. I remember when he first got here, we talked about the Colorado match. We talked about a couple of other matches where he didn't really cover himself in glory, but I think that was quite the opposite, Henry. This evening, not much to complain about for Juan Barricada.
Yeah, it was a solid performance. He was very active and just kind of keeping San Diego out. And again, this is a really tough San Diego team. They're the best in the West. They have an MVP contender in Andres Dreyer, who has like 30-something goal contributions this season. Chucky Lozano on the other side. You have just this very potent offense to contend with. And I thought he did a really good job of kind of putting out some of the fires at the back, doing his best, really putting his body on the line. You kind of saw how committed he was and intelligent on defense, and that's what you ask for from a center back. So, yeah, he provided a very good base for this team to kind of try to build out of and to kind of sculpt the rest of this performance. And that's what you ask for, most of all. Again, this is a player that has come in on loan. His loan expires in about next summer, yeah. So this is a trial period for him, right? You're trying to see if he can be a long-term option for this team. I think, we kind of saw in that One Rooted in the Stripes video, the idea is him and Mihai, right, as a center back pairing for the next 4 or 5 years is what we heard kind of Chris Henderson say. So this is a very good showing for him. Hopefully that continues. And again, he'll probably get some more chances as the season comes to a close and obviously, going into next season. But it's a very, very positive showing from him.
Oh, for sure. Jackson.
Yeah. First of all, Henry, you're not getting away with that 6'7" I saw you slide in there. You're not getting away with that. I got to call you out on that.
That was unintentional, too.
I missed it. I'm too old to get the reference.
It's all right. On a more serious note, we heard Stian Gregerson post-game talk about how he felt paired with Juan Barricada. And he spoke really highly of Juan. He spoke really highly of the communication between the two of them. He felt that was really good. And then on top of that, we had Ronnie Dyla speak really highly of Stian. He said that Stian put in probably one of his best performances with the club today. And I have to agree, the back line was really solid. And save for that one goal, which you can hardly put on them, they shut down a team that has the most away wins in the league. Among the, I think, tied for highest in goals scored coming into today. And so for an Atlanta team that just gave up 5 goals in about 40 minutes to Columbus, you're fearing the worst coming into today. You're thinking Anders Dreyer is going to have a hat trick. There's a hat trick split between the two of them with Chucky Lozano, and to have San Diego only register hardly any shots on goal, really. 7 shots, and then on goal was even less than 2, 3 maybe.
At least 3,
yeah, at least 3. No real big chances, and that's a testament to a back line that, including Jaden Hibbert. Jaden Hibbert made some incredible saves. It's a back line that has shown what they can do. It hasn't always been consistent, but there's glimpses of what they can do. And today we saw that, and hopefully as this 2026 preseason continues, we can see more of that consistency and can help everyone feel better about what's to come, because we need it.
Yeah, no, definitely. And just real quick, going back to Stian, you talked about him. Kind of heard him in the locker room talking about his fitness, and how he's feeling much better. Some go down the first half, we're like thinking, oh, here we go again, but ended up being a minor knock. So yeah, I think good to see Stian, fit. Hopefully, it's just not for a few weeks. He can remain fit well to 2026 and really be the anchor of the center back pairing, because I think that's been part of the problem. He just hasn't been able to stay healthy. So hopefully 2026 will be different. Takeaway number 2, let's talk about the goal that San Diego scored. Of course, Dreyer, you would expect, would get the MVP candidate, like you were talking about, Henry. He got his, just a really lazy spell of possession, I think, by Alzate, right next to the box. I think Chuka Lozano dispossesses him, gets a little bit of Dreyer, and Dreyer makes no mistake with the finish. Can't really put it on Hibbert, because as he said, Jackson, he made several tremendous saves, especially in the second half. But yeah, it just goes to show this is what been symptomatic for Atlanta United this entire season, right? Just one little mistake, just one little spell of just laziness, I guess you can say, on the part of Alzate, just a little too lackadaisical in the possession. I guess it's taken off his foot by a classy player, one of the best players in the continent, and Chuka Lozano, and it's 1-0 before you know it.
Yeah, that's uncharacteristic for him as far as we've seen, just to be asleep. Steven Alzate, he's looked very solid in his, minutes in the other games, and he's been a player that's come into this midfield and helped them kind of take control in some aspects and kind of break out of pressure and find ways forward. And so to see that from him was disappointing. Yeah, I mean, at this level, you can't give that kind of advantage to an opponent because they're always going to capitalize on it. So that's something to look out for. But yeah, I mean, that's the story of the season. Just one dumb mistake, sometimes more than one, but this time it was just one dumb mistake that ends up costing you 3 points, right? Because this should have been a game. San Diego was not superior to Atlanta United at all in this game. And Atlanta had every chance to get, I mean, not I don't want to call it a big win because, I mean, none of the wins anymore matter, but it would have been a win against It would have been a win against a quality opponent, one of the best in the league. So it's those things, right, that they have to figure out how to kind of limit, how to really lock in and just avoid those mistakes, because they're really, really frustrating when that's what loses you the game. Not the opponent outplaying you, but you kind of outplaying yourself.
Oh, definitely. Excellent.
Yeah, that's been the story of the season. Again, it's Atlanta against themselves. You've seen what they can do against quality opposition. You saw what they did tonight. They couldn't get out of their own way so many times this season. We saw it again here, and unfortunately it had to be Steven Alzate. And the real unfortunate thing is you bring him in to try to cure that within the team, because it's been an issue that's plagued this team all season. So in your new signings, that's got to be a key factor you're looking for, is someone who has the technical ability and the composure throughout all 90 minutes to not make these silly self-inflicted errors that cost you results. And to see it happen again doesn't spark a lot of hope that this is a simple fix. It's very frustrating to see that cost a result again, especially one at this point in the season where results don't even really matter all that much. You would hope that the team has a bit more focus, especially trying to prove themselves going into next year. You'd hope that focus is still there, and thankfully it was just that one. I mean, we've seen it happen multiple times in multiple games, and like really dig this team a hole that they struggled to climb out of. They were able to climb out of it today, and then they had even more chances to win today, honestly. So it's even more unfortunate in that regard, where the team had so many more opportunities to even go and win on top of that. And still, it all just goes back to the self-inflicted errors. And it's something the team, I guess, continues to look for an answer for, because right now it's still there.
Yeah, and Dyla said something in his post press conference pretty much to the same effect that you were talking about, Jackson. Atlanta beat themselves. It wasn't so much that San Diego, like you're talking about Henry, San Diego was really all over Atlanta at really any stretch of the match this evening. But again, just one mistake that does them in. Hopefully that's not a sign of things to come for Alzate. Hopefully it's just a blip or a bug, I would say, rather than a feature in his game. And he can kind of bounce back and get back at it against New England next week on the road. Takeaway number 3, just the overall performance. I mentioned Dyla. Yeah, Dyla was happy with the performance, he said. But again, he said, just one mistake kind of did us in. And I think he was obviously very disappointed with that. But overall, again, it's a very even match. I mentioned, in my post-match first reaction that this could have been really a kind of pick your scoreline night for San Diego, especially considering the talent that they have, versus the talent that Atlanta has. It could have been. I predicted 3-1. Henry, I think you predicted 3-0. Jackson, you predicted. I forget what you predicted. But just there wasn't a lot of optimism that Atlanta United would get really anything out of this match, and they ultimately do get a point. As we said, it doesn't matter at this point from the standing standpoint because you're already out of the playoffs. But Dyla was happy with the fact that his team fought. This team were able to hold on for the point, and he said we want to try to get as much as we can out of these final few matches of the season. And Jackson, you mentioned it is sort of preseason 2026. So we said numerous times, Atlanta United has to give a good account of itself over these final few matches of the season to hopefully give themselves momentum going into 2026 proper. And I think today was another step in that direction.
Yeah, I think there are certainly positives to the performance, outshooting one of the more potent offenses in the league. I think the final number was like 17-7. That's always good. I think for me, the main issue is, the team still kind of lacks a cutting edge inside the box. I feel like a lot of the game plan revolves around kind of these cutback crosses inside the box, or just crosses that don't really get to anyone. And, it's fine trying to create chances out wide and trying to cut back and find it that way. That's a very effective way to score goals. But I don't know if it's just like there's not enough people in the box, or, just not enough people in good positions in the box. Both of those are kind of problems. But it feels like a lot of these crosses are just not finding Atlanta players. And that makes, all the work that you're doing to create these chances and to get in these good positions, it's all going to waste because you don't have an end product and you don't have the right positioning or the right numbers to take advantage of that. So I think that's definitely something that they need to work on. I think they need a little bit more creativity as it comes to the number 10 position. For me, Alexei Moranchuk still just doesn't do it for me. I think Miguel Almiron is much better, just much more creative, makes a lot more things happen centrally when he's there. That's just kind of the main thing for me. And, I think you have a lot of positive signs, a lot of promising stuff that you see, but for me, this offense still needs work in order to make it anything close to a contender. I don't even think we should be talking about, can this team be a contender next season? I think it's more of, can this team figure itself out? Can this team figure its identity out? And then kind of put that step first before you start talking about, okay, can they be contenders? Can they look for trophies? Let's start with put a consistently good product on the field, and then we'll go from there.
That's okay.
Yeah, it's face value. This seems like a very shocking result. Obviously, you have San Diego in the midst of a Supporters' Shield race with Philadelphia. They're now 3 points behind now after four now after failing to pick up a result here, other than a draw, and they're pretty tightly in the mix with the Western Conference as well. And you have teams with games in hand. I think Vancouver has a couple games in hand on them. Minnesota is not far off from them either. So San Diego came in this with a lot to fight for. And Atlanta, obviously, has already been eliminated from playoff contention. So to see a 1-1 draw and Atlanta put in the type of performance they did can seem really, really surprising. But my mind went back to the interview we did with Julia Lanning Baba a few weeks ago, where he said that I asked him basically the same question, like, what do you play for? Like, how do you find the passion in yourself to go out there and perform? And he said that when things get, I'm obviously not directly quoting him, but when things get murky, player performance goes up. Yeah. Because when the players are uncertain, they're going to try to present the best version of themselves because they don't know if they're going to be around next year. And I would expect Chris Henderson to make a lot of moves over the offseason to get this team to really try to cut out a lot of the errors in this team. And so these next few matches, whatever's left, are basically a trial for a lot of these players, whether or not they will be wearing 5 stripes next year. They may not be. But if you see more performances like we had today, you're really building a good resume for yourself for Chris, Garth, the entire front office to be like, hey, this guy can perform. We want to build around him rather than leave him on the side and find a replacement. And ultimately, that's what we need to all look for in the next few matches that remain this season. There's still some quality opponents to come. New England's already eliminated, so that's going to be a real wash of a game. But you go to LAFC and then to Inter Miami, and those matches, and we'll see if Atlanta can be the villain again for Inter Miami. That'd be fun, wouldn't it? So we'll continue to see who really wants to be here next year and who might not be seen again in the stadium.
We will be here regardless. We being Scarves and Spikes. Nice segue, huh? ScarvesandSpikes.com is where you can find all of our LA United coverage, first reaction recaps, pre-match coverage, all that good stuff. ScarvesandSpikes.com. Patreon.com/ScarvesandSpikes is where you can go to support our coverage, starting at $1.17 a month. All 3 tiers get you access to our Discord. And we're also giving away EA Sports FC 2026. Instructions are pinned on our Instagram channel at Scarves and Spikes and on our X account at Scarves, the letter N, Spikes. There's also instructions on our Blue Sky account at ScarvesandSpikes.com. Henry, where are you on social media?
At H.A. Higita.
Jackson.
Jackson.Popkin on X and jpopkin at Blue Sky.
I'm at SH Rights on X, SH Rights on Blue Sky, SidH.Soccer on Instagram and Threads. We are at Scarves, the letter N, Spikes on X, ScarvesandSpikes.com, on Blue Sky, Scarves and Spikes everywhere else. I think I'm forgetting something.
You can find it.
Yeah, you'll find us. Just search for us. You'll find us. Yeah, exactly, definitely. Like, subscribe, share our content here on YouTube. If you're watching for the first time or you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button. Also, listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and iHeart. Leave a review there. Rate us 5 stars, so let us know what you think. We'll see you next time.